Greetings. Can you hear me? I hope so. This video here is specifically toward Monsanto and the GMO project to murder all those on the planet by a device that even doctors don't recognize. They see these illnesses that are caused by these things that people put into their holy temples as, being caused by other things. And most people that are dying today don't even realize it's from the GMO foods. And this is my own opinion, of course, because they almost killed me by using it. But of course, if you're one of the 144,000 out there, then you would probably understand that when you pick up the Holy Scriptures and you open up to Deuteronomy chapter 28, you'll most likely see when you read through there these curses that you may have been already plagued with. Maybe you've gone through most of them. I know that most everybody is out there eating their own children. If you had an abortion, you probably eaten it in your SpaghettiOs or something, because that's what they're doing with these abortions. It's a big business. It really is. It goes into your makeup and everything, You paint your faces with these things, and your husband comes home and gives your nephew a kiss on the cheek or whatever there, because you're wearing them, okay, and you're eating them, okay? So it does talk about even the gentlest woman out there will be eating, that which comes forth from between her knees and such. And it's not just speaking of that woman only, it's talking about most everybody, okay? We've all gone through this, because if you buy things from the supermarket and it's got natural flavors in there, well, you got a great opportunity that some of that natural flavor is from abortions, okay? Because abortions have flavor and they're natural, women have them all the time, so it's a natural flavor. These things are not food, okay? These things are foreign to this holy temple. They were never supposed to be put into it. But those that are reading Deuteronomy chapter 28, you'll see all kinds of stuff, that comes down. I had colon cancer, so bad that the doctors, the sorcerers, tried putting a spell on me, telling me that back in 1990 that I only had less than 6.5 weeks to live. And I think the only thing really kept me alive was our king had led me to eating jalapeno peppers, and I would carry pocketfuls when I went to work. It's like, I was so close to death, I had both feet right in the grave there, and the only thing was holding me up was my belt loop was caught on a root of a grass, plant or something behind me, because there wasn't much holding me up. Just our king was there to make sure I lived through it so I could have empathy to all you that got cancer out there. I know what you're going through. Of course, I really didn't have the pains that most people did from colon cancer, but they gave me 6.5 weeks to live, and that really put me on a road to better health and such. I mean, I had tried to live a healthy life as I could, but, I had the colon cancer from the military when I started eating all the food they prepared for me. That's when I came down with it, and they were doing experiments on me out in the field. They'd send me out in a Jeep and blow off these bombs and stuff out in the field, simulating war. And, of course, the smoke would come over me and everything. And they started sending me to the hospital for visits and didn't tell me why, but I guess they were checking to see how this colon cancer would work out. When they released me from the military, they knocked out my tooth, so Satan lost her servant there, and I was a devout servant to Satan. I was a warlock, all kinds of things, and I even was of the Catholic Church, okay? And I went through all the churchianity for the most part. I mean, I was everything except maybe an Islam and a Buddhist, but and a Hare Krishna, there were very few things I wasn't. But the thing is, they gave me 6.5 weeks to live. So I had gone to the House of Yahweh at the time. I was of the cult, but it wasn't a cult back then. It was actually, in those days I went there, was about 45 people in all. And Bill Hawkins, I was his first personal bodyguard. And basically, anytime we saw in the scriptures, where there was a law and we weren't keeping it, I'd show it to Bill, and Bill'd say, "Oh, my word, where'd you see that?" And I say, "Well, our king showed it to me. It's right there in your book." Then he'd read it, and him and I would start keeping that law immediately, And that very next Sabbath, the law would come out across the pulpit. Well, after a while of, other laws that started to dip into his pocket, then he did a big change and things were different. But anyway, I had gone to, my wife had walked in on me. We had just been married and she was pregnant for our first child out of 7. And she was a barren woman. But she walked in the bathroom and she seen the toilet full of raw blood and, black blood and blood clots as big as your fist, and she just about passed out, and she threw a fit, and here I was wanting to die, but no, she went to Bill Hawkins, who chewed my butt out, and he told me to go to the doctor, so I went to the VA, and they gave me, less than 6.5 weeks to live. So part of my going to the doctor, I made Bill agree that him and Benaiah Yandershevitz, his name used to be Walter, but he changed his name to Benaiah, that they too would lay their hands on me so that I could be healed and, not have to put up with the crap from the doctors. So that's what took place. And within 5 days, I was healed enough that when they had me back in the hospital, they were going to start taking all kinds of stuff out of me there. They drove that tractor trailer with the headlight, and the foghorn up my butt, popping wheelies, and I was screaming, and they had me all hopped up on Demerol to the point where they couldn't give me no more. And the doctor kept looking in his little scope there as he drove that truck up there, and he's like, "Are you sure these x-rays are right? Is this the man that these x-rays belong to?" And the nurse was like, "Well, yes, doctor, why?" He says, "Well, who took these x-rays?" And they said, "You did. Your signature is right on them." And he left his scope and he went over and he looked. He says, "Well, this just can't be." And they're like, "What?" He says, "Well, this man's intestines are that of a brand new baby." So he kicks me out the hospital, man. I'm knocking off the walls. I mean, I'm so hooped up on this Demerol, it's like, wow. And just as I make it down the hall, my ex, she had a hold of me so I didn't, fall right on my face, but she had to help me get my pants on and everything because I was really, really hopped up on this stuff. And getting down the hall, the doctor calls me back, makes me go back in, makes me bend over, and he puts on his glove and he takes more, tests of the fluids and stuff, because he just could not believe what he was seeing, and then he kicked me out again, okay? So I spent the afternoon in the car coming down from the Demerol they had me on, but my intestines were that of a brand new baby. But I still had, diarrhea for, up until about 5 years ago. So that was a long time, from 1978, or I should say about 1979. That was when I was in the military and started getting the diarrhea from their treatments, their experiments on me. And, I'm a survivor, and that's only because our king, he reveals to everyone out there that you could pick up, deadly things, eat them, drink them, whatever. If you get bit by them, they will not harm you, it says. But it doesn't really mean harm. It means it's not going to kill you. You're going to get sick as hell. No way you can tell me the Apostle Shul got bit on the hand with a snake and he didn't feel it. It hurt like hell, They just didn't write about it, okay? So, no. Those are the 144,000, right now, unless our king gives explicit permission. You can't kill us, there's nothing can kill us, but we get sicker than hell. I've been sick my entire life. That's what led me onto the road of becoming a minister of health of the Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing. I'm a minister. I do administer MMS to those that do desire to use it. I don't sell it, and I don't normally promote it unless it's something necessary. Normally, I prescribe people to, eat properly. That's what I prescribe. I don't prescribe medicines, okay? There's no medicines that I prescribe or even condone. Most of these drugs that are out there that the FDA approves is so that Agenda 21 will come about and they'll end up killing you, slowly. And that's what they're doing. I mean, take a look at the death rates and why people are dying, and you'll see that since GMO foods came out, okay, these different diseases and such have been cropping up and people are dying. And you'll see about these things also in Deuteronomy 28 because it talks about all these incurable diseases and everything. And like I say, if you're the 144,000, you've, you've been probably had some of these things, you know, where they take your house and all kinds of stuff you've gone through already. You know, recently I had this big old boil on my back, man. I started looking like Quasimodo, and I'm reading Deuteronomy, and it talks about these boils that's going to be on people from the top of their head to the soles of their feet, man. You know, and Yahshua gave me that. You let Satan do that for me, you know, so that I could understand how to care for a boil, for one thing. I couldn't even see the thing except, you know, in the mirror popping up there, you like a second head, you know, or something. And it was huge, man. It was the size of half a grapefruit there, you know. And my friend Larry, he helped me out, you know, a little bit here and there, but, you know, it was just something I had to go through so I could have empathy. Okay, and that's why the 144,000 go through so many horrible tests and trials, man. They experience every trouble, so that when you who are out there and you become awakened, if you're not already awakened, we can have empathy, because we've been through most everything you had, you know, even childbirth. You know, the first time we had a child, my wife and I, at the time there, you know, I'm the one that went through the labor pain. She didn't have none. I went through it, and I told her. She didn't even believe she was pregnant, you know, not until one day, you know, she's sitting there, and boom, you know, up comes this kind of like an alien wanting to jump out of her belly there, and that's what convinced her then, oh my word, maybe I should listen to Al, maybe I am pregnant. But see, she was barren. She couldn't have any children, and a lot of people think that Samuel's mother, when she turned Samuel over to the priest to be raised up, you know, in the service of our Father, you know, she gave a prayer about this barren woman would have 7 children in the last days, but it never mentions her after that, and it never talks about the children, nor who it was that had wed her. But, you know, in these days, man, you know, marriage doesn't mean anything anyway. But, you know, she was barren, according to medical science, and yet we had 7 children. And there's so many children out there today, you know, that are not even legitimate, okay? They're illegitimate children. They don't have married parents. And it talks about this, you know, the prophets, they spoke about it, you know, at least one did, where he said, you know, that there'd be more illegitimate children in these last days than those that were born of, you know, those who were married. It's just a fact. And the reason why these things are taking place right now, I believe, has to do with Monsanto. Okay, and I have a little thing I used to do every year. I would go on a binge for about a month, and I would eat nothing but vegetables. Okay, so this particular time, back around 2013, I decided I was going to go on a binge of just zucchini squash and summer crookneck squash. And with that, I could boil it, I could fry it, you know. I just didn't have anything else with it except for like butter, or, you know, I could put a little milk in there, you know, and I could even batter it a little bit, you know, but it all had to be vegetarian. Things that I did other than, you know, the butter, okay, because you got to have butter. You got to have a little bit of that animal fat to lubricate your brain so you can start thinking a little better, okay? Man wasn't, you know, created to just be vegetarians. Otherwise, our Heavenly Father wouldn't have said, you know, that, you know, honey and milk, or honey and butter shall you eat. Because honey and butter, you know, it does something. It synchronizes something in your body and in your mind that helps you to see things more on a spiritual level than being bound to the covenant of the earth, which, you know, Ishmael is, okay? We want to be of the covenant from above, which is from Isaac, and we need to start looking at these bodies that we were given control over, okay? These are little things. Our king's actually over us, but we have the last say of what we put in or on this holy temple. And GMOs, okay, I wasn't even aware of at the time, and this is back like around 2013, and I went on this binge with the zucchini and summer crookneck squash. The first night I cooked some up for the entire family, and I also cooked them, you know, other things. I can't remember if it was chicken or what, you know, and mashed potato, all kinds of stuff. You know, I used to feed the family well, but I was going to eat it myself, just, you know, the summer crookneck and the zucchini squash. But I had all of them try it, and they all liked it, but that night, most of my children started getting these feelings of a cold, or a flu or something coming on them, and I didn't feel it right away. And the next day they weren't feeling all that well either, but they didn't want no more. Their bodies told them that was enough. It was a test for me, see, so that I would know what I'm talking about, because I had to go through hell in order to gain wisdom about it, so that hopefully you'll be able to hear what I'm saying. So I was eating, in the first week, I did rather well. I felt okay. I didn't feel any better like I normally would have, and what most anybody should feel better, eating a week of just vegetables that are non-GMO, okay, because they're not even food. They're abominations. These things are Frankenstein. They were not created by our Creator for you to eat as food or for your medicine, okay? They were not. These are I don't even want to say man-made. I mean, man's hands did make these things, but it was under the direction of the principalities and the rulers of the air, these wicked and evil spirits that are moving wicked and evil men, okay, to do these things against the people. Now, after the first week, I started feeling really bad. Like, I thought maybe it was like I was cleaning out too quickly or something. I forget exactly the name of that, when your body flushes out too many toxins all of a sudden. I forget the fellow's name, but it was named after him, the effects of the body shedding too many toxins at once. So I was slowing down on eating, but that's all I was eating, just the same, different ways. And I just kept getting iller and sicker and downer and feeling worse and worse. And it got to the point when I went to the refrigerator and I reached in there to pick up, one of those squashes, that my stomach would just turn. And it's like, no, man, don't do that. But I made myself do it, and I'm eating, and I'm just getting so ill. I mean, it was like the flu times hell that came on me. I thought, wow, I must really be cleaning out or something. But then I had, I'm sitting there talking, and one eye will go this way, and the other eye will go that way, and, like this, and I'm like, well, what's going on? Then I went deaf for almost 24 hours. I couldn't hear, I just went deaf, and I'm so ill, and I'm eating, the squash and zucchini so that I could have better health. Well, I had a knock come to the door, and it took me a while to get, I'm coming. And I got up and I shuttled over to the door and I opened it up, and there was my wonderful sister Margaret standing there with a big smile. And Margaret, she's over 70, bless her heart, but she's got the spirit of a brand new pup. I'm telling you, when she can, she's bouncing around faster and more than any adolescent or curtain climber you got trying to climb up your curtains there in diapers, man. She is just a ball of energy. And she stopped over and she handed me, a DVD. She goes, here, I want you to look at this. But this isn't it, okay? It was called Genetic Roulette. And I'm hopefully going to leave a link down here in the video so you can, actually take a look at this movie. It was a documentary, but Margaret brought it over. She gave it to me, and she says, look, Al, she says, I got to go. She says, but, it's like our king put in my head that I got to bring this over and give it to you. She says, and you got to watch it. And Margaret didn't really know all that much about what I was doing. I didn't tell everybody I was going on this fast. I didn't figure it was anybody's business. It was just, and I didn't want no one trying to talk me out of it or anything else, because I did it every year. And I felt terrific after it, except this time. Well, I was about 2 weeks into this binge of just the summer crookneck squash and the zucchinis. And I am so ill, I could barely put the video into the player to get it playing. And I started watching it, and toward the end, I was so horrified when they had showed, and you won't believe this video, what it's doing to people, and nobody seems to hear it. No one cares. And I watch people in the stores buying this, this crap, these abominations, and I even mention it to them, and it's like, they're zombies, they can't contemplate. All they see is brains, brains, and they got to eat them GMOs. But they're poisons. They're deadly poisons. So I put on the video. I'm watching it. And it was talking about in Africa where they got the sharecroppers, you know, and this one fella started growing GMO corn. Okay, now the sharecroppers, because they're poor and all they did was get, you know, a share of the crop after it was done, they was out there tending the corn and everything, and they was eating the corn. You know, most of it was raw. And people were dropping dead like flies. Okay, and that's what it was doing. And this one fella says, you know, that the doctor, when he seen someone come into the office, and he said, well, one eye was going this way, and the other eye was going that way, you know. He said, I knew right then and there, he says, you know, that within 24 hours, that person would be dead. I'm like, what in the world have I done to myself this time, Yeshua? Holy, but why did you let me do this? I mean, I was so sick, man. And come to find out that, you know, 2 of the top 10, you know, GMOs being sold was GMO zucchini and GMO summer crookneck squash. It almost killed me. Now, you won't get anybody out there to tell you that there's any real tests they've done on it, but they've done tests on animals, and they found out that it destroys their reproductive system. It affects their livers. It kills them. Okay, that's what it does. It destroys the lives of these mice and rats and such that they feed these things to. With the movie Genetic Roulette, you'll see where farmers were feeding GMO to their livestock, and the salability and everything of their meat just started declining. The health of their cattle, the offspring, okay, they was dying at unprecedented rates and everything. It was a horrible catastrophe. But when they took them off the GMOs, they recovered almost fully. Okay, and it didn't take all that long for them when they were fed the proper things. But the GMOs, you know, I mean, you'll see in India where this one farmer let 13 of his buffalo out there, and they ate some of the GMO cotton that was growing. And for years before that, goats and his, you know, buffalo and everything would go out there eat it, no problem at all, man. They grow, have healthy offspring and everything. But when they introduced the genetic, the GMO cotton to India, and these animals went out there, they all started dying. I mean, entire herds within a few days were completely dead. So here is my remedy for this, okay? For anyone that's listening, anyone that can hear, this is what I believe that I would like to do with the money, that's some of the money, because it's going to go help out people in other ways as well, feeding them properly and that sort of thing. But, you know, with some of the money, I'd like to find out some way that we can take those that are of Monsanto, those that have developed these things, and not just Monsanto, you know, we're talking DuPont and these other places doing these GMO foods and genetically altering livestock and everything else, okay? You're doing these very things that talked about in the days of Noah. Okay, that's how it's going to be when our king comes back, as in the days of Noah. So is going to be the return of our king. You're going to be out there doing these things, but you shouldn't be hurting everybody else. You play your little scientific and godly games, but do it by yourself. Don't affect us, okay, because you're going to suffer for it. In fact, what I believe should be done with all these that are, you know, on the board of Monsanto, all those scientists and everybody else that's developing these things, every stockholder, everyone that's out there promoting, even the presidents that get up there, I mean, what one of those fellows was it that said, oh, GMOs are so good, we'll have a whole meal of it here. And then they sat and they ate this GMO crap to convince everybody else that they too should kill themselves. You know, I mean, why not just take out a straight razor and slice your vein? You know, it's a whole lot quicker, a lot less painful, and you have better results. Because a lot of times the GMOs won't just kill you. They'll just torment you and make you suffer. And you'll have all these ailments and pains cropping up. You'll have the brain fog coming on. You'll get diseased. You'll just feel horrible all the time when you're eating these GMOs. you need to stop. It's not made for the Holy Temple. Holy Temple was made for food, okay? And Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14 will explain to you what is allowable to be eaten from the oceans and the rivers and the waters, as well as those things on the air, the ground and on the air, in the air. It explains to you what you can and cannot eat. And now these things are even being defiled. Okay, these things are becoming unholy. They're becoming profane. We have to really watch what we put in. So I say take all these people, stockholders, everyone that condones GMOs to be out there to poison those who don't know about it even. Okay, I mean, if you make a free choice to eat that crap, by all means eat it. But I say we should take every one of those governmental officials, every single one of those who feed these prisoners GMOs and everything else, and lock them all up for 44 days. That's all. Lock them up for 44 days. Let them conduct their business on phones, whatever. Give them complete freedom, but they can't leave or have anything sent into them. And simply feed them GMO products for 44 days. And they could eat all of it they want. And when they get sick, it's too bad. Here, eat some more of these GMOs. And if there's any survivors at the end of the 44 days, maybe then they'll put a stop to this GMO bullshit. Okay? Because it's killing you. Now, that's my plan for you Monsanto dwellers and DuPont and all you Rothschilds and everything. And yes, I say the Illuminati and even them damn lizards, your reptilians. Gather them all up and put them in there because they're the ones that are helping to devise these things to depopulate the earth. Our Father told you. He told Adam and Eve, go out, be fruitful, and multiply and fill the earth. This earth hasn't got hardly nothing on it. There is so much water under the earth, okay? Under the layers of the soil, there is water that can be brought up. There is so much money out there, okay? They could actually make wells, and we could be dwelling in places all over this earth. Problem is, we've been polluting everything, okay? And with the pollution, everything, it has limited some things. But the thing is, it's not that the people are overcrowding. We got more food. We throw away so much food, the whole world could be fed, but that's not the Illuminati's plan. And because we're not helping them people, we're all guilty of it. I mean, when our king comes, he told us, and he told you Monsanto fellers and Rockefellers and all you guys, what you have done to me, you done to them. And what you done to them, you done to me. You fed them shit, man. Guess what you're going to get? You're up to here in your shit right now. Okay? But I'll tell you what, if I'm allowed to get my hands on you for our king to show this world an example as to what's going to come on them all for defiling this earth, read Isaiah chapter 24. It tells you what's coming and why this whole earth is defiled. And you bastards are the ones that's doing it, and you're going to suffer for it. I mean, I forgive you. I forgive you for what you did to me. I don't want you to burn 1 second, not a nanosecond, in the fires of hell, because I've been there for about 28 hours from eating phosphates. And I'll tell that story some other time, which, put me on the trail of never eating these poisons and drugs. Yes, there's drugs in your food that you can only get by a prescription, and yet they're putting it in your foods as a cocktail, a potion, to kill you softly, to kill you slowly. So when you go to the doctors, they write down a name for your ailment, but it's never GMO poisoning. They don't even know about these things because it's not taught. Very few doctors out there, unless they are for your health, okay, alternative health and healing and such, and they're murdering us off, they're, some of these people, are ending up with bullets in their brain and stuff, horrible suicides, drownings and all kinds of stuff, that these people that are trying to help people live better are doing to themselves, killing themselves all over the place, because they've been helping people and dedicated their lives to do so to get away from these damnable GMOs. So let me tell you, stop eating GMOs. Look at everything in your cabinet. I mean, if it's got phosphates in it or it's got, anything added, that's got a chemical name or you don't know exactly what it is, and just toss it. It'll be worth it, because what you throw out today will probably be less expensive than getting in your vehicle, using the insurance and the gas and the wear and tear to go to your doctor to pay him however much money for him to prescribe you a drug to mask up why you got that pain in this, well, not why you got it, but mask up the pain that you got from the root cause of these GMOs and the poisons and the drugs and everything else in the food. You need to wake up, people. Seriously, read Deuteronomy chapter 28 and you'll see there are these incurable diseases coming, because you can't cure them. If you're going to be on the GMOs and not quit the GMOs, you can't cure them. But our King will heal you of each and everything that you have, that you're suffering from, and you're going to suffer from it. You brought it on yourself because you were a dumbass, just like I was, okay? And we defiled this holy temple. And he said, anyone that defiles a holy temple will be destroyed. And I'll tell you what, you eat that GMO crap, man, you're going to feel destroyed. And I say take Monsanto and Rockefellers and everyone in the Illuminati and everybody else that condones this crap to be fed to our babies. Bad enough us old bastards, you know, but our babies, man, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, your children, your great-grandchildren. And if you're watching this and you're a child, they're killing you. Young lady, young man, you better start crying out to your mama like you've been asking them for Wheaties or Captain Crunch or any of these other GMO or poison infiltrated non-foods. It's not foods. And a lot of times they'll call them snacks because they're not food. And they know they're not food. These things are not to be put in this holy temple or yours. Let's stop these things, okay, and pray about these things. You know, like I say, you know, there's going to be an investigation that Enoch said is going to come to pass. Our King even said that in these days, he's going to pay me back for all the houses, you know, my mothers and brothers and sisters and everybody that I lost for his name's sake. And he's going to pay me back 100-fold in these last days. And because of this, I hope that we can help clean this world up a bit. Get these guys from Monsanto, put them on some old military base or something where, you know, it's been abandoned, and put guards around it so no one comes in or goes out except for those bringing in the GMO foods to them. Let them do their business. They can do their telephone calls, you know, and all that kind of stuff, talk to their attorneys and everything else. It'll be fine. They can play basketball if they feel like it. They may not feel like playing much after the second or third day they're eating these things. But let them eat nothing but GMOs and city water, of course, and their soda pops and everything else that those in the FDA, the same thing. And you with the National Heart Association, allowing phosphates to be in tuna even. And phosphates, you eat these things, you take a look on the internet. They will calcify your organs. In fact, if you have a severe attack, which I did, okay, it was a severe allergy attack. I mean, I was like, I was having muscle spasms. I was hurting so bad, I tried to pick up a butcher knife, but it couldn't hold it. I was going to cut off all my skin. That's how bad this stuff burned me. And I was blessed because most people, when they have a reaction like that, it shuts down their kidneys and they die. The kidneys. You have to have transplant or else you die. But do they attribute this to phosphates? Well, yeah, but you can't even get a blood test that shows phosphate levels in there because they don't have it. Why? Because they know what's killing you. Okay, they would know if you could take a test. And I tried because I wanted to find out how much phosphorus I had in me, these added phosphates, and it comes in 100 different names. Okay, I brought a video on part of this, but they tried to murder me with it. I mean, I was in hell for months and months and months and months. I was hurting so bad. You won't believe how the torment was. So I don't want any one of you bastards out there that have developed these poisons to kill off the population on this planet. Kill off those people that my Heavenly Father said to populate this entire planet. And our King is the one that took over that job right now, and you deny him by feeding us those things to kill us. Why are you doing this? Well, I tell you what, if I get my way, and I pray that I do, it's a righteous prayer, that every one of you get put onto an old Air Force base or Army base or whatever, and that's all you eat for 44 days. Y'all starved me for 44 days, and I didn't get nothing to eat at all, and I wouldn't eat your GMOs, okay? And that's why, they were saying, well, you're committing suicide. We're not murdering you. No. If you throw in a branch into a cage with a lion, the lion's not going to eat it. You can throw in twigs and leaves, and the lion's not going to eat it. Eventually, he's going to starve. Because why? It's not food for a lion. But if you throw that same log and branches and twigs and stuff into, a cell filled with beavers, well, they're going to be joyous, man. It's like, oh, look at that, it's food. Well, that's how these humans are out here, and misfits and everything else, these reptilians, and they're just eating whatever. It doesn't matter to them what they're eating. And a chicken will eat human shit too, okay? You open up the back of an outhouse, a chicken will run in there and clean it right out for you. But it doesn't mean it's food for me. And it's not food for a lion to be fed the sticks and trees that is food to a beaver or a woodchuck. But these things weren't food to me, and they knew it. And I pleaded with them, give me a banana, or, an apple, something that's unpeeled and something that's non-GMO. And I got it in writing, and I put it in there, and I charged them for these things. But what I say is that we need to go, if these people are selling this, and they're promoting it, and they're inventing these things, they need to eat the shit. And then, forget the FDA evaluations. Let that be the test to show the people what they're eating and why they were eating it. And we'll conduct proper burial services for the participants, whether willing or otherwise. But every one of them need to be eating these foods so that they could see what they've done to you. And I believe that's a proper judgment according to the laws. If somebody comes up against you that gives false testimony or what, and they're found out to be liars, well, whatever they wanted to come on you from that false testimony, okay, is to come on them. And they've been lying to you, okay, and they want their money and everything. So I say what they have brought on the people, let it come upon their own heads. And let us give honor and glory to our King. Support this video, I pray. Get it out there. I'm not as scared of you fellas. You almost killed me. I should have been dead. I really should have been. I felt like I prayed to die. I was so damn sick from your GMO poisons, abominations. Shame on you, okay? Our King's coming. He's going to kick your ass. Let me put it that way. So if you got stock in GMO foods or whatever, you are just as guilty. If you're making a profit off these things, then you better consider dumping them damn stocks. Because you're going to have to give testimony as to why you got them, and now you shouldn't have them. You shouldn't be making a profit off these things. You shouldn't make profits off prostitution, and you shouldn't make profits off selling drugs. And you sorcerers, if I was you, I'd repent too, because like it says in the very last chapter of the alleged New Testament, volume 2 of the Holy Scriptures, Revelations 22, and I believe it's verse 14, it says, blessed are they that keep the commandments, for they shall have right to the tree of life and enter therein into the gates of the city. But outside, there's going to be them male prostitutes, the dogs, and the whoremongers, and the sorcerers, the doctors, those of pharmacopoeia and such, they're going to be on the outside. Along with all you reptilians and your Rockefellers and Bilderbergs and all these other fellers, that think that they can destroy my father's children and get away with it. Well, you're not gonna. You're not. It's going to come on your own head. And hopefully I'll be used as a tool to be able to help bring that about. And if I do, I'll tell you what, I'll rejoice. I'll cook up them GMOs for you if that's what you'd like, because I could really make them tasty. I really can. I enjoyed what almost killed me, and I just pray that you'll feel the same. And as you suffer, please reach out to our King and say, man, I don't know why I did this to these people. I was wrong. and repent, and our King will save you, I'm sure. You know, if you get rid of all those wicked things that you had out there and you dump your stock afterwards and everything else, I believe our King will let you live so that you may be able to speak out against these poisons and never, ever do it again. And that's what repentance is about. Realizing that you sinned and you don't even know what sin is because you probably never read First Yachanan or John there in chapter 3. Read the whole chapter. You'll see. It talks about you and it talks about me. Okay? And the 144,000, and we're all going to testify against you. GMO, bass, turds. Until we meet again, you enjoy your life because it's going to be short.